There is a woman in Kyoto who is 58 years old. Her waist measurement has not changed in over a decade. She has never counted a calorie. She does not own a set of dumbbells. She has never once stepped inside a gym. Every morning, she does 5 small things before the rest of her city has woken up. She drinks a glass of warm water. She steps outside for a few minutes, even in winter. She does not touch coffee for almost 2 hours. She walks slowly to a small shrine 3 blocks away and back. And for the first 30 minutes of her day, her phone stays exactly where she left it the night before. Face down, untouched, silent. She is not doing anything difficult. She is not depriving herself of anything. She is simply beginning her day in an order her body understands. And somewhere across the world right now, someone over 50 is waking up, skipping breakfast, lacing up running shoes, and heading out the door for a punishing workout. Someone who eats clean, who tracks every calorie, who has done everything the fitness industry has ever told them to do, and who still cannot lose the weight sitting around their middle. Someone who is quietly starting to wonder whether their body is simply broken. It is not broken, it is responding exactly as it was built to. The problem is what it is being asked to respond to. What if the difference between these two people has almost nothing to do with diet, and almost nothing to do with exercise, and almost everything to do with 5 small habits that quietly shift how the body stores fat after 50. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what those 5 habits are and why they work on a level that calorie counting has never been able to reach. Habit number 3 directly contradicts what almost every fitness expert has been telling you for years. And habit number 5 ties all 4 together into something your body was designed for, but your lifestyle has quietly taken away. Stay with me, because the order these 5 happen and matters just as much as the habits themselves. Before we get to them, we need to take apart an equation almost everyone over 50 believes without ever questioning it. The equation is this: belly fat is a math problem. Eat less, move more, and the fat disappears. It is the foundation of nearly every diet plan on the planet. And for a great many people, especially after 50, it simply does not hold up. Not because they are not trying hard enough, but because the equation leaves out one variable entirely, a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is not a villain. It is the hormone that gets you out of bed and gives you your alertness. Your body produces a natural surge of it each morning, sometimes called the cortisol awakening response. Completely normal, even necessary. The problem is what happens when cortisol stays elevated for too long. Research published in the journal Psychoneuroendocrinology has linked sustained elevated cortisol specifically to increased fat storage around the abdomen, not the arms, not the thighs, the midsection, where the body wraps it around the organs as a kind of biological insulation against a threat it believes is ongoing. And here's what makes this matter more after 50, not less. As we age, we naturally lose a little muscle, and the body's hormonal balance shifts. Both of those changes can make the midsection more responsive to elevated cortisol than it was at 30. So the same background stress your body once absorbed quietly begins after 50 to show up around your waist. This is why so many people over 50 can do everything right: cut sugar, train hard, eat on schedule, and still carry stubborn weight in that one place. They are fighting a hormonal pattern with tools that were never designed to touch it. So what does touch it? Not another diet. 5 quiet habits, each one available to you starting tomorrow morning. Habit number 1, warm water first. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep with no fluid at all, your body wakes up in a quiet state of dehydration. You have been breathing water out all night. Your cells are running on reserves. And the very first thing most people do at exactly that moment is reach for coffee. Caffeine poured into an already dehydrated, already cortisol rising nervous system is, in the words of the neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman, close to adding fuel to a fire that is already lit. You feel the lift, but underneath it, your stress chemistry climbs higher and stays there longer. The Japanese alternative is almost embarrassingly simple: a glass of warm water before anything else. not iced warm, or at least room temperature. The warmth gently signals the digestive system to come online without shock. The hydration gives the nervous system the one thing it actually needs first. Some research suggests that even mild morning dehydration can nudge cortisol upward, and that rehydrating early supports the body's natural process of letting that morning spike rise and then resolve on schedule instead of lingering into the afternoon. 2 minutes, 1 glass. And before you have done a single other thing, you have sent your body a clear message. We are safe. We do not need to brace for anything yet. That is habit number 1, and it sets the tone for everything that follows. Habit number 2, morning light. Within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking, step outside. Not through a window, not through a phone screen, not the glow of a lamp. Actual outdoor light on your face and in your eyes for 5 to 10 minutes. Here's why this matters so much for weight. Specifically, after 50, light entering your eyes in the morning is the single most powerful signal your brain uses to set your circadian rhythm, your internal 24-hour clock. Dr. Sachin Panda at the Salk Institute has spent decades studying exactly this. His work has consistently linked disrupted circadian rhythms with both elevated cortisol and increased visceral fat, the deep fat that sits around the organs. Here's the chain. Morning light triggers serotonin during the day. That serotonin becomes the raw material for melatonin at night. Melatonin gives you deeper sleep, and deeper sleep produces a calmer, healthier cortisol curve the very next morning. One small action taken in daylight quietly sets up your hormones not just for today, but for tomorrow. And it works even on a gray, overcast morning. The light outdoors under a dull sky is still many times brighter than the light inside your home, and your eyes register that difference even when the day looks flat. In Japan, this is not framed as a health hack. It is folded into something that does not even look like a habit. A short, slow morning walk called sampo, often just to a station, a shrine, or the end of the street and back, not for fitness, for light. And if your mornings feel too rushed for this, tie it to something you already do. Step outside while you drink your warm water. Stand at an open door for the length of one slow cup. Let the dog out and go with it. The point is not to add another task to your morning. It is to move one thing you already do out into the light, 5 to 10 minutes outside early before the day truly begins. That is habit number 2. And now, habit number 3. The one I told you contradicts what the fitness industry has been telling you for years. Habit number 3. In the morning, walk gently instead of training hard. We have been taught that harder is always better, that the most punishing morning workout burns the most fat. And for general fitness, intensity absolutely has its place later in the day. But research increasingly suggests that timing matters as much as intensity. A study published in the Journal of Endocrinological Investigation found that intense exercise performed in the morning, layered directly on top of the body's natural cortisol surge, can keep cortisol elevated for hours afterward. You feel wonderful in the moment. The endorphins are real, but your stress chemistry may be quietly paying the bill for the rest of the day. And after 50, when the body is already more sensitive to that pattern, the cost can be higher. The Japanese alternative is not to do nothing, it is sampo again, but now with intention. 20 to 30 minutes of easy, unhurried walking, no pace to hit, no heart rate to chase. And there's a specific reason this calms the body rather than stressing it. Researchers at Stanford have described something called optic flow, the visual experience of the world sliding gently past you on either side as you walk forward. This particular pattern of motion has a measurable calming effect on the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center. An overactive amygdala keeps cortisol high. Walking outdoors where the scenery moves past you helps turn that alarm down, not a treadmill facing a blank wall, not a stationary bike in a dim room. Outside where things move to the people who have walked this way for generations, sampo was never exercise. It was something closer to medicine. That is habit number 3. Habit number 4, delay your coffee by 60 to 90 minutes. This one might be the most uncomfortable habit on the list, so stay with it, because the mechanism is worth understanding and the payoff is real. The moment you wake, your brain is still clearing a chemical called adenosine, the molecule responsible for that heavy, groggy, sleepy feeling. Normally, your body finishes clearing it on its own within about 90 minutes of waking. Coffee works by blocking the receptors that adenosine attaches to, but if you drink it before that natural clearing has finished, you're blocking receptors that are still full. The adenosine does not disappear, it waits. And when the caffeine wears off later, often right around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, all of that backed up adenosine arrives at once. That is the crash, the heaviness, the reach for sugar. And here is why it matters for your waist. The body can read that afternoon crash as a stress event. Cortisol may rise to push through it. Cravings, especially for sugar and fast carbohydrates, tend to follow. And the quiet cortisol cycle that began in the morning simply repeats itself, right at the time of day you're least able to resist it. The Japanese idea of ma, the deliberate pause, the meaningful gap, applied here means only this. Give your body those first 60 to 90 minutes to wake up on its own before you introduce a stimulant. Fill the gap with the warm water, the light, the walk. Then have your coffee. The reward is not just a calmer afternoon. It is that when you finally do drink it, the coffee works the way it was always meant to clean. Even energy with no jagged edges and no crash on the other side. That is habit number 4. And now habit number 5. The one that ties all 4 together, habit number 5, eat your last meal earlier. Most of us eat dinner somewhere between 6:30 and 9 at night and lie down within 2 or 3 hours of the last bite. Almost none of us have ever been told why that timing may be one of the most quietly important variables in how the body manages weight, especially after 50. Here's the mechanism. Digestion takes real energy. For 2 to 4 hours after you eat, your body sends blood toward the digestive system to do the work. And that work runs warm. Your core temperature rises while it happens. Sleep needs the exact opposite. For your brain to drop into the deep, slow wave stages where real restoration happens, your core temperature has to fall. That drop is one of the signals that tells the body it is safe to go deep. So when you eat close to bedtime, you're asking a body in the middle of digestion to also shift into deep restoration at the same moment. It cannot do both well. So it compromises. You get sleep that is technically happening, but rarely deep enough to leave you truly rested. Dr. Sachin Panda has described the gap between the last meal and sleep as one of the most overlooked variables in sleep quality. A gap of at least 3 hours, ideally 4, has been associated in his research with measurably deeper, more restorative sleep, and this is where the whole list closes into a circle. Poor sleep disrupts the next morning's cortisol curve. A disrupted cortisol curve encourages the body to store fat around the middle. That in turn tends to disrupt sleep further, which keeps cortisol elevated further still. The cycle feeds itself, and it begins quietly with the single question of when you eat your last meal. You do not need to overhaul your dinner. You only need to move it earlier, even shifting it forward by a single hour. And giving yourself a proper gap before bed begins to turn the whole cycle in the other direction. In Japan, this is not a strategy anyone talks about. It is simply when dinner happens. That is habit number 5. So here's what happens when you put all 5 together, not as a program, not as one more thing to track and optimize and feel guilty about, just as a new order for your morning and your evening. You drink warm water first, so your body begins hydrated instead of stressed. You step into morning light, so your internal clock resets cleanly. You walk gently instead of training hard, so your cortisol surge resolves instead of compounding. You delay your coffee, so the energy it gives you is real and lasting, and you eat earlier, so your body can finally do, while you sleep, what it was always designed to do. None of this takes more time than the scrolling you're already doing in the morning. None of it costs a single thing. What it asks for is one decision: to stop treating the stubborn weight around your middle as a math problem you keep failing, and to start treating it as a signal from a body that has been asking this whole time for something far simpler than another diet. The woman in Kyoto with her warm water and her quiet walk has never once called any of this a routine. To her, it is simply how a morning begins. Now, before you close this video, I want to ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with it. Which of these 5 habits is the one your mornings are most missing right now? Is it the water, because you reach for caffeine before your body has had a single sip of what it actually needs? Is it the light, because your first hour is spent indoors while your internal clock drifts? Is it the walk, because you have been pushing through hard morning workouts and wondering why your afternoons collapse? Is it the timing of your coffee, something you have never once thought to question? Or is it the evening meal, because you eat late and cannot understand why 8 hours of sleep still leaves you hollow? Drop the number in the comments, 1 through 5. Not so we can keep score, but because naming the one thing is the first real step toward changing it. And someone else reading your comment may recognize themselves in it and feel for a moment a little less alone. If this changed something in how you think about your mornings, share it with one person in your life over 50 who has been doing everything right and still cannot understand why nothing changes. They may be one quiet morning away from finding out why. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next one. This content is for general well-being and lifestyle inspiration only. It is not a substitute for advice from a qualified medical or health professional.